Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the Adidas Dame 9. So Damian Lillard's 9th signature shoe with Adidas. It took 2 freaking years for this shoe to come out. You know, the Dame 8 debuted 2 years ago in 2022. So I don't know what took them so dang long. But yeah, this is the Bape collab. Of course, I got both colorways and I played in both colorways where I mained this one, right? Mainly played in this one. I played in this colorway just a couple of times just to test out the traction because I was having some issues with this one. But also, if you don't want to pay 160 bucks for this shoe, I don't even think it's available. The regular general release colorways are out, or is out. There's that purple one, and it retails for 120 bucks. And I love how Damian Lillard, even though it's his 9th signature shoe, usually athletes increase their price as, you know, they go on in their signature shoe lineup. But, you know, Damian Lillard has kept his signature shoes very, very cheap for us, you know, so shout out to him. 120 bucks for a 9 signature shoe is amazing. So yeah, if you do want to cop the Dame 9, I'll try to leave in the affiliate link in the description box. It does help me out if you do want to buy this shoe. If you buy it through the affiliate link in the description box or the product pictures underneath this video, or I'll try to leave a link right over here. And as always, thank you guys so much for all the support. But let's get it started off with the Traction. So in this colorway, we have a translucent red outsole, right? And in this colorway, we have a brown, like gum rubber, and it's translucent, right? And you can see the full length plate. It's a lot easier to see it through this colorway. But anyways, how's the traction? So the traction is really, really good, right? On a clean court. So if you're playing on a clean court, you don't really have to break it in at all. It does get a little bit better once you're playing it and keep breaking it in. However, pretty much right out the box, you have really good traction, right? So yeah, I took these, you know, for the first couple of times, and I went to a cleaner LA Fitness court, you know, where I know they like mop, you know what I mean? And I had an amazing time. You know, also another thing that I love about the shoe is that it's a really nice, loud, high-pitched squeak, which of course has nothing to do with performance, but for all the hoopers out there, including me, who like to have a very nice, loud, high-pitched squeak, this shoe has it. And both of these colorways have a very nice, loud, high-pitched squeak. So there's that. But if you are playing on a dusty court, this shoe picks up a good amount of dust, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's because these grooves are a little bit thicker and the dust is just sticking to it, you know what I mean? So it picks up dust pretty quickly, and I have to wipe a lot, you know what I mean? So if you're playing on a dustier court, if you keep up with your wipes and you wipe a lot, you're gonna have really good stops. However, if you let too much dust build up on this, I did actually have some instances where it was a little bit inconsistent and I slid out pretty dangerously in this shoe, in this colorway, right? So that definitely does suck. However, I want to test if this colorway was a little bit better, and it's just a tiny bit better actually. You know, it picks up a little bit less dust. It wasn't as dangerous for the slide out, which is pretty interesting. You know what I mean? So yeah, there is a little bit of a difference there for performance on dust. However, it still wasn't great, right? So yeah, dust performance definitely was a little bit of an issue here in the Dame 9, or a good amount, you know what I mean? And so if you're playing on a slightly dusty court, you should be fine, you know, but if you're playing on a super duper dusty court, just be careful. You know, I probably wouldn't recommend this shoe. If you're playing on an outdoor court, however, probably also not the best. The grooves aren't super thick. However, the rubber is on the softer side of things, you know what I mean? So probably not the best option for outdoor use. So yeah, when I was playing on a clean court, I had an amazing time. Dusty court, not the best, but here in this colorway, it was a little bit better. So there's a traction there. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, overall very, very smooth, right? So here in the heel, we have a pretty much fully exposed midsole besides here in the back of the shoe. But it's a very smooth feeling heel, right? And then coming here into the forefoot, we have a little bit of a curved shape. Not super crazy, but it's there, you know what I mean? It's not one of those where you put a little bit of weight here into the tip of the toe and kind of like rocks you forward like Curry's, you know? You kind of have to be a little bit more purposeful with your movement, you know what I mean? But either way, you know, it's pretty nice for the shape. And then coming here for the flex, we do have a little bit of flex, but you have to put a good amount of force into it. It's more of a rigid structure because probably this full length plate, it's like the shape of the infinity symbol, or the number 8. So it's a little bit stiffer here in the forefoot, right? And it has a little bit of a rebound back. So it has a little bit of springiness, but overall, heel to toe transition does feel pretty smooth and kind of springy. So there's that. Moving on to the cushioning setup. So the cushioning setup that's using full length light strike and actually is pretty dang nice, right? So at first it was okay, but once you break it in, especially for the step and comfort, it gets better and better and better, right? So here in the heel, we have a good amount of compression, especially here on the lateral side of the shoe, and it's pretty much fully exposed besides the plastic. This is plastic on top, and then on the bottom is the foam. And you can definitely tell by the compression marks, right? But yeah, the court feel I would say is on par with the Dawn Issue 6, right? So the Dawn Issue 6 has pretty average court feel. I would say it's slightly better than the average, but pretty average court feel, right? So very, very similar in feel for the court feel. However, we have a softer foam. You have a lot more compression here in the heel, and the step and comfort is a little bit better for some reason than the Dawn Issue 6, even though this is using Light Strike Pro, you know what I mean? But also, the Harden Volume 8 has better court feel, and also I would say just around the same step and comfort, but it's just not as soft here in the heel, you know what I mean? And of course, the AE1 and the AE1 low, the step and comfort is not as nice. It's okay, I would say it's still pretty nice, but the Dame 9 is a little bit better for step and comfort, but also obviously for the overall cushion here in the heel. There's no compression here in the AE1, but there's nice compression here in the Dame 9, right? So I would say the Dame 9 has like the best cushion out of all of Adidas's hoop shoes, which is saying a good amount. That's pretty dang nice, right? So yeah, impact protection overall is really good. You know, even on heel strikes, you should be good to go, but also landing hard here in the forefoot, your feet really aren't going to hurt that much, right? And like I said, you're going to need to break in the cushion a little bit to make it feel a little bit better for step and comfort, right? So that, of course, the insole kind of sucks. It's very, very thin, but underneath the insole, we have a pretty stiff strobe board, which at first, it kind of disappointed me because if you look at like the A1s and also the Harden Volume 8, there's a nice cutout, and also the strobe board is actually kind of soft, right? But when you feel the Dame 9 strobe board, it's kind of stiff, you know what I mean? But once you break it in, it actually gets pretty dang soft, you know? So, and also because it is a thicker foam here in the Dame 9 comparing it to the Harden Volume 8 and also the AE1, the step and comfort is just a tiny bit better, right? So yeah, and also it feels pretty responsive. You know, it's not too soft, it's not too mushy like the Dame 8. So I definitely feel like this is a huge upgrade from the Dame 8, and I would say this is one of the nicest cushioning setups that Adidas has to offer. Although, you know, cushion is a more subjective. Maybe if you want a little bit more court feel, you go with the AE1 or the Harden Volume 8. But overall, I would say this is the nicest cushioning setup that Adidas has to offer, which is nice. You know what I mean? So yeah, there is the cushioning setup there. Moving on to the upper. So the upper definitely is something that I really dislike in the Dame 9, right? It broke in pretty nicely, however, but I still think it's a little bit too thick and also a little bit stiff. You know what I mean? So yeah, comparing it to like the Dawn Issue 6, right? Look at this. Look at how soft it is. It's so soft. It's so thin. It's so minimal. It feels so nice. You know what I mean? But here in the Dame 9, look at, even though it is really broken in, I still have to really press it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, it broke in, it got softer and softer, and I really like the inner booty of the neoprene material. And also, it doesn't really pinch either. You know what I mean? Like, once I broke it in, it doesn't really pinch that much. And it's actually pretty dang nice for kind of like conforming to your foot, kinda. You know what I mean? Or it's definitely an improvement from when I first had it, right? But still, like, I think it's a little bit too much. It's just, you know, with the synthetic, you know, this layer of synthetic leather and then this textile material and then the neoprene material is just too much. It's too much, you know? So I definitely feel like if you want support, however, it's really good for that. It has a lot of support. It just feels really sturdy and just kind of like a really protective shell over your foot, you know, comparing to obviously like a mono mesh material like the Dawn Issue 6, right? But so overall, this was still a very supportive upper because of this plastic TPU that goes around the eyelets and around the heel. But obviously in the Dame 9, you don't need that, right? So yeah, here in the toe box, I definitely feel like they could have made it a little bit thinner or a lot thinner. And that still would have been nice. But also here with this neoprene booty, it just it like stretches over your foot, you know, and just feels like a sock, you know, and it feels really, really nice, you know. So you have that really soft kind of feel right on top of your foot, and then you have kind of like the like a shell, like a very stiff supportive shell over it with this textile and leather material. So yeah, honestly for me, again, like for performance, it's not bad, especially once you break it in. It's just too thick and still stiff for me, you know what I mean, which I don't like, you know. So that definitely kind of sucks. And also for quality, there's a lot of crease marks, you know, and it's not the best for the quality of the leather, which kind of sucks. So there is the material there, and I saw the general release colorway and it looks to be the exact same material. So there's the upper there. Moving on to the fit. So the fit kind of sucks for me, you know what I mean. I went true to size and it kind of runs long, right? I went true to size for the Damian 6. I went the exact same size, and lengthwise it's very, very good. Here in the toe box, it's a nice snug fit, and widthwise it's a nice snug fit as well, right? It's a perfect fit for me here in the Damian 6. But here in the Dame 9, it's actually kind of roomy here in the toe box, you know what I mean? It kind of scrunches up a little bit, and also it's a little bit long, you know what I mean? So do not go true to size with the Dame 9. I would suggest going down half a size if you want a nice snug fit. And also widthwise, however, it's a little bit narrow. I can definitely feel like my pinky toe being squeezed a tiny bit. So just be careful with the width though. It's kind of like a weird fit. I definitely wish it was more snug here in the toe box. So yeah, that kind of was a little bit of a bummer, but not a huge deal for me because the overall shoe and the overall upper is supportive. But one thing I liked about the fit is the mid-foot area because of this one booty neoprene upper. It just kind of like stretches over your foot, especially on top of your foot here, which does feel pretty dang nice. And now moving on to support and lockdown. Yeah, it's one of the most supportive shoes that you can get right now, especially a shoe that's made for guards, you know what I mean? So yeah, lateral containment, not only is this upper like super sturdy, very stiff, very structurally sound, we have this plastic piece coming up acting as a sidewall here in the forefoot, which is just, I'll probably overkill, but you know, that's there. And then here in the heel, we have an internal TPU heel counter too, and also the foam, like this light stripe midsole coming up, acting as a sidewall a little bit. So your foot is never gonna come out of the footbed. You know, no matter how big you are, you're gonna be good to go with lateral containment. Also, lateral stability, look at that. You have a very wide base too, especially here in the forefoot on the lateral side. So lateral stability is very, very good. And also I didn't really have any huge issues with heel slippage or lockdown issues or anything like that. But it wasn't the best for heel lockdown, you know what I mean? It didn't feel super locked down. For example, I was playing like the Damian 6 alongside the Dame 9, and this just like cups in, and also with this, it kind of locks down my heel a little bit better. The Dame 9, my heel wasn't slipping out that much, but just didn't feel super locked down. And maybe that has to do with the long fit as well. So just take that with a grain of salt. Maybe I feel like, you know, if I did go down half a size and it was a little bit better for length for me, it wouldn't have been a little bit of an issue, but I did feel it wasn't super locked down here in the heel for me, right? So there is a support and lockdown there. Moving on to the weight of the shoe. So yeah, probably not the lightest because of all this leather material. Probably like 13, right? Yeah, 13.6 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 13.5 ounces, right? So the average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces, so an ounce heavier than average. Not super heavy, you know. It actually surprised me because I thought this was gonna be super freaking heavy. I thought it was gonna be like 14 ounces, you know, especially comparing to like the Hardens. The Hardens are pretty heavy, you know what I mean? It's like 14 something ounces. So yeah, compared to the Damian 6, however, the Damian 6 is 11.3 ounces, you know what I mean? So yeah, it definitely feels stiff. You know, for the upper, it definitely feels thick. It definitely feels a little bit bulky for the overall upper because there's just so many layers of material, and also feels a little bit heavy. You know what I mean? But is it responsive? Yeah, overall, like when I was playing on a clean court, the traction was biting really well. The cushion overall is very comfortable, but also responsive, and the overall support's really good. Like my foot was not really having any issues with, you know, coming out of the footbed, coming out of the shoe or anything. So yeah, I did feel very quick when I was playing in this shoe. It's just not the quickest, you know what I mean? I would say the Damian 6 definitely feels, I feel a little bit quicker, or a lot quicker, because the traction is a lot more consistent, especially on dust. The upper is a lot more minimal while still having a really good support, and the cushion is still responsive while still having pretty good impact protection, right? So yeah, there is the weight there. Moving on to the ventilation. Nope, yeah, super duper freaking hot. There's literally zero airflow through the Dame 9. So that's definitely a huge bummer, especially comparing to the Dame Shoe 6, which is just a way thinner material, has so much more airflow, you know what I mean? So yeah, that sucks. And now moving on to the aesthetics, I like it. It definitely grew on me a lot, but definitely not my favorite. As far as aesthetic go from Adidas, I would say the Harden Volume 8 is my favorite. And then the AE1. And then, I don't know, I would tie it up for the Dame Shoe 6 and the Dame 9. What do you guys think looks better between these two? But anyways, there's the aesthetics there. Now wrapping things up. Yeah, so it's a little bit weird, right? So this shoe was pretty dang nice to play in, but I definitely feel like it's not my type of shoe. You know what I mean? It heavily favors, you know, a style of play where if you want a really stiff, very supportive, very sturdy feeling shoe and upper, this is a great option for you. You know what I mean? While still having really comfortable cushion and really nice traction, especially on a clean court. But that's not my type of shoe, you know what I mean? For me, I like a more lower to the ground feel, which is, you know, again, this is not that bad for court feel, but I do like a lower to the ground feel, and also I like better traction on a dusty court, and I just like a more minimal feeling upper, which is the Dame Shoe 6, basically. So yeah, I would say this is on par with like maybe the A1 a little bit, kind of like that category, you know, a stiffer upper, you know what I mean? But again, like this definitely nearly isn't as kind of like stiff feeling, especially at first. So yeah, definitely I had a really good time playing in the Dame 9. It's just not my favorite hoop shoe right now, just in my personal opinion. Although I do definitely feel like there are a lot of people that would enjoy this type of shoe, you know? And also, of course, if you're a big dude, this will be an amazing shoe for you. And for guards, probably not the best option in my personal opinion, but again, if you want a sturdier, more supportive upper or shoe, this is a pretty good option, right? So anyways, that about concludes my performance review of the Adidas Dame 9. Again, if you guys do want to cop any of these shoes, I try to leave the feeling in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.